we present My Favorite Husband, a new series based on Isabel Scott Rorick's gay, sophisticated Mr. and Mrs. Cugat, starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning. 10 years ago, the town's most eligible bachelor, George Cugat, married socially prominent Elizabeth Elliot. The lavish wedding kept the society columns all over the country in copy for weeks. The New Yorker said,
"The bride and groom were dressed to the nth degree of smartness. Best man was a polo pony."
The Hearst papers said,
"The bride and groom were dressed handsomely in attractive comment from guest Douglas MacArthur."
And the Reader's Digest said, "The bride and groom were dressed." Well, after the honeymoon, George sold his polo pony, bought a stylish suburban home, took the first job that came along, 5th vice president of a bank. And now the Cugats are just George and Liz, two people who live together and like it. George says,
"When I married Liz, she didn't know a thing about keeping house. She couldn't cook, she couldn't sew, she couldn't clean. But later she overcame this lack of domesticity in a most ingenious manner."
Liz says,
"I got a maid."
And now, let's take a peek at the Cugats. It's early morning, and there's husband George at the breakfast table. But where's wife, Liz? Oh, there she is, upstairs in the bedroom with Katie, the maid. Well, this is certainly unusual. Liz is getting into a formal evening gown. Let me check again. It's only 5 minutes after 9. Well, surely there's a reason for wearing an evening gown at this early hour.
"Oh, just a little more, Katie. Can you get the zipper up now?" "Yes, ma'am. Oh, the zipper's up." "Oh, how does it look, Katie? Would you consider it too slinky?" "There's hardly enough of it to tell." "If you'll pardon me, Mrs. Cugat, I've seen more cloth on a rope for cheese." "It isn't as skimpy as all that. Now, where's my corsage?" "Oh, here it is, ma'am." "I'll just pin it on here. No, maybe here. Oh, what's wrong, Mrs. Cugat?" "There's no place to pin it." "I'll get you a gown that has a little more to it, Mrs. Cugat. But then..." "Then what, Kitty?" "You are having your portrait painted today, aren't you?" "Yes." "Well, then maybe you'd better wear the gown you have on." "Why?" "Well, as long as you're paying for a portrait, you might as well have as much of you in the picture as possible." "No."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?